Good evening, Vacaville. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Vacaville Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Today is November 6, 2024, and the time is exactly 6 p.m. Secretary Florence Reyes, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Berman? Commissioner Frazier?
Here.
Commissioner McMahon?
Here.
Commissioner Shea?
Here.
Commissioner Vasquez? Vice Chair Gutierrez? Here. Chair Oz?
Here. Now, would everybody please rise to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next item is approval of the agenda. Commissioners, have you have the agenda before you? Are there any amendments? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the October 2nd, 2024 regular meeting. Does anyone have any revisions to those minutes or any additions? If I can have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 22nd meeting.
Second.
Great. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the October 2nd meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, next. We have, Steph, I understand we have 2 written communications for the commission tonight. Are there any others?
No, just the ones that are included in the packet.
Great. Great. So moving on, presentations. Interim Director Megar Smith, would you like to introduce item 6A?
Sure, thank you, Chair. Tonight we have a presentation by our 2 park rangers, Justin Salvo and James Tanner, and they are going to tell us a little bit about their program.
Hi, my name is Justin Salvo. I've been with the city for 4 years.
I'm James Tanner. I've been with the city for about 3 years or so. Newer to the park ranger role.
So park ranger duties are develop and report with the public to promote safe use of park facilities. We monitor parks for parking and code compliance. We also assist public works, monitor park rentals for compliance, assist with special events, survey parks for safety and maintenance issues.
There are lots of amenities offered at Lagoon Valley for boating and disc golf and RC play. There's lots of areas for people to go and lots of hiking trails, as well as a safe area for dogs to enjoy, dog park there. Um, and we are sure as rangers to patrol the park regularly to make sure that all codes are followed and to make sure everyone is safe and enjoying the public space that's there for the community.
Some violations that are common at Lagoon Valley Park are graffiti and vandalism, parking fee violations, and abandoned vehicles and littering.
We patrol all 36 parks within the city limits. That includes the neighborhood parks, community parks, um, anywhere that you can find any person using the public space. We assist in special events such as Loop the Lagoon or any rentals that are going on. We can sometimes offer an assistance in. Bunnies and Bonnets, VacaCon, baseball events, and we are regularly trying to improve on our public engagement with people using the parks and the spaces.
In the last few years, we've noticed an increase in unauthorized events at Vacaville City Parks.
Yeah, and a couple of the other areas that we've been struggling a little bit more lately in is people abandoning animals nearby on particularly Cherry Glen Road or the back parts of Lagoon Valley, which is dangerous for them and the wildlife there. And then the biggest one is people parking in marked no parking zones or just outside of designated areas within the parks. So we oftentimes have to address those things.
Emergency situations, public works emergencies, water leaks, electrical issues, and downed trees. We also have fire/medical emergencies that we deal with, and we forward that to the proper authorities.
Each ranger vehicle is equipped with AEDs for heart-related emergencies, as well as bleeding control kits. We've received training in the use of both these things. We are trained in with at least the minimum of CPR and AED use, and we're both certified in Stop the Bleed.
Some partnerships we have, Humane Animal Services for domestic animal issues, Vacaville Police Department for any law enforcement issues that we have, California Fish and Game for any wild animals or any enforcement issues, and Pina Adobe Historical Society.
We often engage in work, especially with the Historical Society and Camp Adobe. Personally, just on a self note, I enjoy talking with the kids a lot and educating them on the grounds and the history of the adobe, as well as teaching them about other things like the bugs and the animals around and how they can help to keep the area nice, clean, and safe for everyone to use even longer than it already has been.
And any questions or comments?
Thank you for the presentation. I was just wondering, all of the Vacaville parks is a lot of parks to have to patrol. What does your day/week look like? Like how often do you get to each of the parks? Do you spend a lot more time at Lagoon Valley?
Yes, we spend most of the time at Lagoon Valley, but we kind of patrol regularly to more of the busier parks around town.
Yeah, Lagoon Valley is definitely our priority as far as making sure everything is safe, especially with fire dangers and things like that, because it's such a big place. But our patrols are regular to every other park. It's not often you'll get to every park in one day, but we do our best to regularly patrol parks that are high activity, or they'll have a lot of people there usually during specific days.
You guys get like dispatched out? Do they, like if the city gets reports, like Parks and Rec or Public Works, do they like send you guys to check stuff out, or do you just have like your regular beat?
We have been dispatched. The PD usually gives us a call, and if we can check something out for them, and we try to help them out as much as possible. And we do kind of go or do our daily beat parks.
I will say a big help is our community members that are regulars at the parks and interact with us on a regular basis. They oftentimes know how to get a hold of us through city channels, as amazed as that can be sometimes. But they'll give us calls or shoot us emails about issues that are coming, and we'll oftentimes just go right out to them and try and handle them as best as possible.
Awesome, thank you.
Gentlemen, I have just a question. Yeah, so you are really like the ambassadors of the city as you're probably, patrolling the parks. And I'm sure many of your interactions are positive, but I'm sure that some of them are negative and maybe have some complaints. Can you share just sort of maybe are there any common complaints that you might hear while you're out? And then just, I guess, a follow-up question would be, how do you handle those or elevate those to the next level?
We usually forward kind of the complaints to the proper departments, if it's Public Works or PD. If we can kind of work it out with them, we always try to do that too. But yeah, we just forward it to the right people.
I'd like to add to that so the first part of your question was about regular occurrences that are troublesome.
Are there any regular complaints? Yeah.
Well, a big one I've experienced is parking in inappropriate places, blocks paths. It makes it difficult especially we have a big biking community and running community here in Vacaville. And then I think I would probably also add alcohol consumption in the parks. We've been really trying to regulate those things. They're a bit difficult at times, but we both work very hard to greet every member of the community that approaches us with smiling faces and an answer to their questions or problems as best as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is business from the floor. At this time, the commission will entertain issues that are not on tonight's agenda that are within the commission's subject matter jurisdiction. There's a maximum time of 3 minutes per speaker. Does anyone wish to address the commission tonight regarding a topic that's not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none. We'll move on to business item 8A. Interim Director Megger Smith, would you please introduce item 8A?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This next item is Melody Land, our Recreation Manager, will present this item, and it's a request to accept a piece of art, Weaving Our Future, a community tapestry by Angela Arteritano into the public art collection.
Yes, hi, good evening, commissioners. This evening, we have another art piece before you. Very excited to share this. Tracy, if you want to move on to the next slide, thank you. So to give you a little background on this piece, this was part of the community outreach efforts for the Arts and Culture Master Plan that we've been working on for the past year. There were 6 workshops held, one in each of the districts here in Vacaville, over the course of a little over a week between August 2nd and 10th. We tried to hit some of the more popular parks like Play for All. We were at Andrews Park, and then just really tried to stretch it out. Places that had good opportunities for people to visit, kind of connecting to Southwood where trails connected to the park. So this was done. Angela Arteritano was selected after a RFP process that was done by Designing Local, our consultants. She was with me as along with some other staff or volunteers, facilitating these workshops where we actually had community members giving us their vision for the future of public art. And what that looked like was writing on some words, whether that was a paragraph. It was very much a anything goes kind of project. They made those little squares that then they turned into a drawing, and then we're able to kind of take some of Angela's style of artistic development and pull images, shapes, lines out of what they drew. Angela then took all those contributions that you saw in your packet this evening, and she created a community tapestry. She incorporated that tapestry and a film about the creation process into her production of Carmen, which was a flamenco adaptation of the classic opera. So the piece was displayed in the VPAT lobby, and then of course on stage in the film. And next slide, drum roll. That is it right there. That's it hanging during the run of Carmen. And this piece is, next slide, Tracy, valued at $10,000, and there is no fiscal impact anticipated. If there is some minimal impacts just for installation, we're planning to do some plexiglass over it wherever the final placement is going to be, and we already have that in stock from other art maintenance projects. So there might be some, if we need a new piece of hardware or something, it would be very minimal, and we do have an arts maintenance relocation and removal fund that we would pull from. So, but again, not anticipating that. Next slide. So this did go before the Arts Advisory Committee on October 9th during their regular meeting. They recommend accepting it into the public art collection, and they have some placement recommendations, including the Ulatis Community Center, the Vacaville Performing Arts Theater, City Hall, and then had suggested even a long-term loan to the library at the Ulatis Cultural Center post the construction that's currently ongoing. Next slide. So the recommendation this evening is that by simple motion, the Parks and Recreation Commission recommend that the City Council accept Weaving Into Our Future into the City of Vacaville's public art collection. Any questions or comments?
No questions?
Just so I can get a better understanding, I love the piece, and I don't know where we're going to end up putting it, but where it was hanging, it looked great there as well. But how do we determine, I guess, the value of it? And does that mean that's what the city gave Mrs. Arteritano for the piece? Or did she donate it and it's just valued at that amount if we ever sold it or it got damaged or whatever?
So as the artist, she determined the value of the piece. She was contracted to not only help produce the community outreach efforts, all the workshops, the work that she did creating the piece. It was a total of $15,000 that she was paid. And that also includes a report of the findings of all the feedback that community members contributed during this project.
Got it. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other commissioner questions? Are there any questions from the public or comments from the public? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Great. I have a motion and a second to recommend that the City Council accept Weaving Our Future into the City of Vacaville's public art collection. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Great. Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Commissioner Shea, the Play for All Committee.
Okay. So the last board meeting, it's been almost a month, so they meet right after our Parks and Rec meetings. So there may have been more development since then. It seems like such a long time ago. But they are coordinating to get pavilions done and painted and decorated to the themes of the various sponsors. They're working with Kaiser on the pavilion design and are waiting on the design from the city. I don't know who's in charge of that, but they're also waiting on that one for the City Hall themed one, I believe. And then the Vacaville did their new pavilion and it looks amazing. They're going to bid for the ballpark and it should be started in spring. Life and everything permitting. And then they're also looking for volunteers to sign up on a regular basis to beautify the park. And maybe have some organization or individuals kind of head up those efforts, again, on a volunteer basis. And they were discussing potentially having like a little shed with just brooms and dustpans and general items that you would use to clean up at a park. Just really light stuff, nothing taking over public works or anything. But just to help keep it nice because the park is so popular. And several of the board members, myself, I've been out there with my kids, and just people on Facebook report that after the weekend, because the pavilions are so popular for birthday parties, it can start looking kind of junky. A lot of people aren't as conscientious as the Parks and Rec people or us board members or us commissioners. So it can get pretty dirty after the birthday parties. So they're looking for some volunteers to kind of go in maybe Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon to clean up after all the park usage. Another thing that they're working on is the Officer Bowen Memorial. And they have a goal of $45,000 to build the memorial within Play for All. And they're at about 5,000 now, and their fundraising efforts kind of lost steam a little bit as we get further away from the unfortunate incident. So they're wanting to get the word out about that. There's a fundraising link on the Play for All page for them to get more funds to build a memorial for Officer Bowen. Okay. Might have maybe a couple more additions. It's been a while. Got it? All right, and that's it.
Question, has there been any idea of what the memorial would actually be?
They talked about, because there's the little road within the park, having it be like a little stoplight and a street sign like Officer Bowen Boulevard or just something along those lines, and having like a little mini street light to walk across the street. I think from, where that first initial little square is when you enter, and then you cross the street to where the flagpoles are, that would maybe be like a little stoplight or crosswalk or something like that, which would be super cute. So it's a neat sounding project. So get the word out, donate.
Do you know how close they are to their goal?
They're, as of October 15th, they had 5,000 toward the 45,000. So there's a gap there, but they're working hard on getting the word out and have some other ideas about, kind of ramping up the fundraising again and getting people interested again.
Any other questions from it? Oh, yes, Commissioner Gutierrez.
They have a link for fundraising. Is there a link also on there for organizations or individuals that want to volunteer to help maintain?
I believe there is. There's a volunteer link, and they keep a list of people that have expressed interest over time in volunteering or doing fundraising or donating. So they have a master list, but you should be able to sign up on the website.
All right, cool. And hopefully you guys are able to do fundraising, because I know towards the end of the year, a lot of people are looking to donate. So, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea. Moving on to committee reports, 9B, Youth Sports Advisory Team. Unfortunately, Commissioner Vasquez was not able to attend the meeting tonight, but she did indicate that she would report out at the next meeting unless staff have got anything to comment to. Okay, great. Great. Moving on to reports of the park manager. Wallace, good evening.
My presentation is very short also.
Well, we might have a lot of questions to make it really long, so.
I think I lost that last slide. So all I have for you guys tonight is we have a memorial bench that is going to be placed at Hume Grove. So where you're looking, the area where we're looking is basically the northern part of Hume as you're heading into the Redwood Grove, in the area that's highlighted right there in the orange. Probably going to be a little more over to the side after discussing this with you, and that was it. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Okay, comments or questions?
So 10 questions from each commissioner, please. No. Any other questions? Loss.
Thanks.
So moving on to reports of the park planner. Mr. Hesterman, would you give us an update on the various park projects?
I would. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good evening to you. If I can find my icon here. There we go. I have a few slides of current projects to share with you tonight. Starting one. So we have a number of projects, park development projects that are underway right now, and I have just pulled a bunch of slides all taken from today, so they're very current. This is the facing east at Corderos Park, and what you see just beyond that water buffalo there is the basketball court that's being installed. And to the left, you can kind of, where you see the construction fencing, let me see if I can pull up the pointer here. Over in this area is where the, well, it's a fast pointer. The outdoor, the additional picnic facilities that are going to be built up on the hill there. There's also, and Wallace didn't mention this tonight, but Parks crews got out there and replaced a bunch of the trees that had died over for various reasons. So the park is really looking a lot better than it has in a long time. And hopefully, actually the company that's doing this seems to be doing a very good job from what I can tell. This is the same company working at Nascimesto Park, putting in an identical basketball court at Nascimesto. Both of these were in the master plan, and we just couldn't afford them in phase one. So the one at Corderos was largely Measure M funded, along with the other improvements. So that actually completes phase two, or will complete phase two at Corderos. And the addition of the basketball court here, there's also a drinking fountain and a bench and some more trees. And that will complete phase two at Nascimesto. And that will be primarily through Park Diff, which were paid by the Brighton Landing subdivision. And this is very exciting for me to see because one of the very first projects I started when I got here in 2006 was Magnolia Park was in its infancy, the master planning for it. I had a heavy hand in putting the master plan together. And so this is kind of a neat photo because it shows you, in the distance there, you can see phase one, everything that's green, and amazingly, there's not very many people out there today. Well, this was around 5 o'clock and it was very windy. But this is the continuation of the pedestrian loop that goes all the way around the center core. So that'll tie into that. I have a couple more photos. This is the basketball court that will be at the eastern end. And you can see off in the distance the backstop there. And off to the right, this would be looking more southerly, is the soccer field. All of those were part of phase two. And this is the gazebo that the public spoke very loudly that they really wanted that feature. And so that's been designed. And one of the neat things about this is it's oriented toward the southeast. So folks that are watching a performance or something will be not looking into the sun. Neither would be the performers unless you were out there at sunrise. It also has uh, ADA ramps that come up around the backside from both directions. If you have say a food cart or something else you need to push up there, you can easily pull that up. Well, that was the end of the photos from Magnolia. This is the construction by Lister Construction going on at Lagoon Valley Dog Park. As you can see, they've got all the forms in for the concrete work. Over here is the main entry facility that has, the double locking gates to prevent dogs from jumping away. And that is kind of a unique feature that the public particularly asked for. It'll allow a primary entry, and then you can peel off either to the left for the big dog park or to the right for the small dog park. And the request was that they wanted it that way so that if a person wanted to go from one to the other, they didn't have to go through so many gates. And so it's a very comfortable thing there. Unfortunately, the shade structures, which would go or could go on this pad for the small dog area and then off in the distance on the larger pad in the larger dog area, had to be pulled from the project just for lack of funds. They were presented as an ad alternate, which we typically do if we hope that maybe the bids will come in lower than we fear they might, but they were pulled out. So we're still looking for money for that, but they can easily be added later. It's designed so they can be plunked in without a lot of demolition. Over at the other end of the park, the archery range is shaping up very nicely. Here you see the backdrop mound, and these are the shooting lanes here. This is the firing line that's being formed with concrete, and you got the bow stands. They look kind of a green color here that are all lining up at the various distances. So that also is coming along very nicely. This is a project underway to replace the bridge. I'm not sure if Wallace or anybody has reported on this before, but it now is actually underway. The bridge is currently closed to pedestrian traffic while they put in the abutments and the footings for the new steel bridge. The old one was wooden. That was put in when Lagoon Valley Park was initially built, and it's falling apart basically. However, it will be reopened with the wooden bridge still in position, I think around December 20th, thereabouts. So it'll be available from then until early February when the steel bridge is scheduled to arrive. And then they'll close it down again and be able to, hopefully, the steel bridge will fit right into place. So that should happen very quickly. But right now, there's signage at the southern end of the loop. You can walk around on Scout Loop Trail, but it's you can't make the whole loop. So there's signage down there to tell you that it's closed at this end. And finally, I have some really happy news. The Planning Commission last night approved the CEQA mitigated neg deck, the California Environmental Quality Act document that was prepared for this master plan that this commission approved a while back. And they also verified that it does meet, from a design review position, that it does meet our city general plan, Parks and Rec master plan. There was about 15 people who spoke against the project last night, largely residents that live adjacent or very near to the park, and they were expressing concerns about everything from homelessness to crime to all kinds of things. But the main thrust was, I think they didn't want to lose their beautiful backyard that they kind of have had for many years to their privacy. But this is a community park. It's for the entire city. And several of those proponents who spoke in favor, that is, of the project, made it very clear this is to serve the entire city. For those of you who were on the commission when we started this project, you'll remember that we joined this project along with our Park and Rec master plan because we anticipated that a lot of the unmet needs that were identified in the 2013 needs assessment could probably be satisfied at Centennial Park, and that is what you see in the master plan. So that's the end of my presentation for tonight. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Mr. Hesterman. Any questions from the commission? I have just a few. On Magnolia Park, just curious what the estimated completion date of that project will be.
Yes, actually, I meant to share that with you. So all of those projects that are currently underway, we expect they'll be wrapping up by the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'll have to deal with weather if we go into, say, December. And if we hit a lot of weather, it might stretch it into the spring a little further. But largely, they should have the grass planted and things ready. Then there's a 90-day maintenance period where with the grass is established. Typically, it's the turf that causes the problems because it either doesn't come up or you don't want to let the public in on it too soon. So it stays fenced off for that period of time.
And then sort of related question, what is the typical protocol, or maybe it's customized, of rolling out the opening of these amenities to in making sure that the community knows and that we have these facilities available and everything?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
This is a kind of a unique situation where we have so many new amenities that are being brought to the public, but we've also, Magnolia and Corderos, and we've had a lot of new parks in the time that I've been here. We have never really done a grand opening or anything like that. There may be some minor exceptions. Generally, it's difficult to coordinate with the contractor when they're actually going to pull the construction fencing down. And that is determined by when the city says his job is complete. In other words, there's nothing else on the punch list to be fixed or corrected, or if there's, say, some plants die or something, he may have to replace those. That sometimes is kind of a moving target, especially if we're having difficulty with the contractor. In this case, all these contractors are doing a really nice job. I would imagine, to answer your question in short, is that we would probably just put out some social media blasts and perhaps a sign at the park. We haven't done a grand opening for a long time, and I'm not sure if it's appropriate for a phase 2.
Right. If it just, we should really just make sure that the community knows that these are available, and let's celebrate a little bit. So however we can do that, but at least the social media blast would be helpful.
Yeah. For the neighborhood parks, the folks are watching.
They already know.
And they're watching, and they're getting questions. For example, at Corderos, we put up a large poster of the master plan so they can see actually what's being built there. Because otherwise, I talked to the contractor today, and he said, before that went up, people were asking, well, what are you building? Because they'd forgotten. We'd had public meetings, and we told them it was coming, but there's a fair amount of time between that and when the contractor actually is in the field.
And then lastly, on the Centennial Park Master Plan and the Planning Commission moving that forward last night. And I want to first, thank you for all of your great work answering a lot of the questions of not only the public, but the Planning Commission as well. I watched both of those meetings, and you did just a really great job, very professional and very informed, and answered their questions really well. But I think my follow-up question to that is just, was there anything about the master plan that you learned from the community that was a concern or a surprise, something new that you hadn't heard before? Because I'm sure a lot of those questions or concerns about the park, you might have heard already through previous outreach, but I was just curious if there's anything new that you might want to share with us.
I wouldn't say new, but most of the folks who spoke against it, or a number of them, mentioned disturbing the wildlife, and they called it a wildlife refuge, which it's not. It's a city park, but we pointed out to them that there's 115 acres on this master plan that are preserved for the very things that they like, which is the trails, the habitat, the creek access, the water, the wetlands. And so we're building more of that. And it kind of, I guess it kind of surprised me how short people's memories are, because some of the folks, the fact that one gentleman who kind of spearheaded the opposition, he'd only been here for 2 years. So we're talking about a project that we actually began master planning back in 2010, working with the VYSL on their master plan and all the different groups that were interacting. And so he hadn't been involved, he hadn't heard about all that. So maybe we need to just kind of promote ourselves a little bit more,
Right.
and make it clear that we are listening, we are responding, we're hearing what you're saying, and it's showing in the master plan. That one of the cool things about Centennial Park Master Plan is that it's so big, there's something for everybody there. We pretty much accommodated almost every wish that, within reason, obviously, that we heard through the various workshops.
Great, thank you, Hugh. Any other question? Great, thank you, Hugh.
Absolutely, thank you. Good night.
Moving on to agenda item 12A, program updates from the recreation manager.
Good evening again. We actually have a special treat for you this evening before we get into the slides. Corey Booth has a video from our recent Dia de los Muertos event. So Corey, if you could cue that up.
Corey, we don't have any sound.
That was a fun event for those who were able to make it. Thanks for coming out, and we look forward to seeing you next year. All right, moving on. We've just got some more fun events coming up this winter season. Of course, Merriman on Main, the highlight of everyone's Tuesday after Thanksgiving. We've been gearing up for this for a while. It's happening on December 3rd from 5 to 8 p.m. There are still opportunities for organizations who wish to participate in the event. They have until November 12th to submit an application. Next slide. We have Breakfast with Santa. This is hosted by our preschool program. It's a staple, and they enjoy some pancakes and sausage and get a little chance to sit with Santa, take some pictures, and just enjoy a wonderful morning of family time and holiday festivity. And then Neighborhood Santa. This has become a fan favorite in the community. This is where we go out 3 nights over the course of 1 week, and we hit multiple parks in one night with a parade that includes Santa and many other kind of big trucks. So we've had Recology out, we get the PD SWAT. It definitely varies by availability, and so not every evening is exactly the same, but our Police and Activities League, the PAL kids, they decorate Santa's float, and then we have usually some elf volunteers from the community. Sometimes that's city staff who are just looking to get out and do something different. We've seen people from our finance and our housing department and so on. And so that's fun to kind of be able to pass out some candy canes and a little holiday cheer. And then our polar plunge. So right before the new year, this is a chance to just kind of shake off everything from 2024 and dive into a refreshing reawakening and welcoming in of the new year. So we do that a little bit early on Saturday, December 27th, and that will of course be at the Graham Aquatic Center. And that is it. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Questions? Well, thank you very much. We're moving right along. All right. So we'll move on to item 13A, reports of the interim director. Interim Director Maker Smith, would you like to give us some updates?
Sure, thank you. I just have a few. I know Commissioner Shea had mentioned Play for All Park updates. And so I want to assure you, we've been compiling quotes for the decoration of painting of the city pavilion. We do anticipate starting work in the beginning of the new year on that. So if you talk to Tom before I do, you can let him know. We do have a management analyst position open for the Parks and Recreation department right now. It is open until next Tuesday, November 12th. So if you know anyone who would be a great addition to our team, we'd love to have them apply. And then also the next commission meeting is actually not until February 5th. So we won't see you for a while. And so while I'm not prepared to announce a new director of Parks and Recreation tonight, it probably will be the last time you see me here. So I want to thank you all for letting me take the helm for a little while. I know it's been a little bit longer than we originally anticipated, but I've really enjoyed the opportunity to work with you and work with the amazing team in Parks and Recreation. So it won't be the last time you see me. It'll just maybe be the last time you see me in this chair for a while. So thank you, and I've just really appreciated the opportunity to work with you.
Great. Any commissioner questions? Thank you. Moving on to reports of the commissioners. Commissioner Frazier, would you like to start us off tonight?
Sure. Hey, Commissioner Oz and Robinson and myself were able to the Halloween test, and so actually that was a lot of fun. It was a great night. There was all kinds of really creative ideas for costumes and stuff like that, and so yeah, it was a great event, and it was the timing was actually really good because that was the last day of the what is it called, the not the food thing, but the thing that they have down there, the market. And so that was in the morning, and you can go to that. And this was, in the afternoon. And so it was a really nice kind of a day. And so, yeah, it was really good.
Great. Next, we'll move to Commissioner Shea.
I just want to, this is such a busy season. I want to thank everybody who voted and participated in our democracy. All you people who voted, tune into your Parks and Rec Commission meetings too, and watch some Planning Commission meetings and City Council meetings, and participate in our local democracy. Thank you to Interim Director. We've appreciated you being here and your time here, and we hope that we didn't drive you too crazy. And yeah, just everybody enjoy the holidays. We're about to maybe go in a lull here at Parks and Rec, but it's about to really hit the gas for all of the other things that happen this time of year. And I know that while we may not be meeting, you guys are gonna be insanely busy. So good luck with Marion and Men on Main. Please tap me in if you need help with anything. Because I've got a little work crew at home too. So if you need me to bring my team of boys, that we can do some physical work too.
Commissioner Shea. Vice Chair Gutierrez.
Yeah, Commissioner Shea stole all my thunder. Wanted to say also, it's been a pleasure sitting here with you and just getting to even learn more about the extended Parks and Rec family. And we will miss you and happy holidays. Looking forward to who the director may be. So that'll be a 2-month little drum roll wait period. Yeah. Also, feel free to tap me in for help. I had so much fun last year decorating the tree. So yeah, if you guys need any help with that. I was also able to attend my very first Dia de los Muertos this past weekend, I guess. Everything's going by so fast. That was my first one, and I was so impressed. There were so many people, and as the night went on, it was like more and more people kept coming. It's my favorite local band, Los Cochinos. I love them. Yeah, if they're anywhere, I want to be there. But it was just such a beautiful cultural event, and look forward to having more. It sounds like, I don't know if we had an update on the cultural day and what date that's planned for next year. But I just love learning about different cultures, and I'm glad we're able to bring that to Vacaville. Yeah, and happy holidays to everyone, and see you in February.
Vice Chair, Commissioner McMahon.
Yes, thank you. The same. Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays. Stay safe. Continue to take care of each other. And thank you to everyone for all you do. Thank you.
And yeah, lastly, I'm really looking forward to Merriment on Main and all those activities. So if you, please reach out if you need any last minute volunteers and everything. So, you know, we're happy to help. And I also had an enjoyable time for the third year joining Commissioner Frazier at the Halloween event. I mean, it's always organized very well, and I just love to see the response from the community. It never disappoints. I also was able to join Interim Director Megger Smith in the second round interviews with the candidates, and I'll just report that we're in good hands. All the candidates were spectacular, and so whatever the final candidate is, I think we're going to be in great hands. And then to you, thank you very much for all of your hard work. I know being assistant city manager and then taking on an additional role, I think that's part of the role of assistant city manager. But I'm sure your workload. I'm sure your workload was now when you shed that responsibility, you can focus on other areas, which I'm sure will be helpful. So, but thank you for your efforts. So with that, being no further business, I'll adjourn to the next regular meeting on Wednesday, February 5th at 6 p.m. And thank you, everyone, and good night, Vacaville.